There are 3 things that YouTube does not need any more of: Paul Brothers, vegan recipe channels, and Little Wing guitar tutorials. But this isn't just a Little Wing guitar tutorial. It is the ultimate Little Wing guitar tutorial, not your granddad's Little Wing. We're gonna go through a classic Hendrix song and kind of talk about the chords behind it and kind of how he's playing it. So it's not gonna be exactly it, but I think this is an absolute must-know song for any guitar player. I know learning it really helped me out and kind of helped me understand the fretboard in ways that I previously had no idea. So anyways, the way we're gonna learn it is gonna sound like this. So again, this isn't the actual way that he played it on the main recording. Again, Jimmy played everything a little bit different each time he played it. The big difference, if you're trying to play along with the actual recorded version, is that he played it in E flat. So his guitar was tuned down a half step. Like instead of an E, it'd be an E flat. Instead of an A flat, so on and so forth. We're gonna do it in standard tuning, just because I think that's easiest for everybody. But basically, I want to talk about the chords behind it. So depending on how long this video runs, I might break it up into a couple different videos. But really, let's just do it chord by chord. All right. So if we just talk about the chord progression behind all the Jimmy-isms, it's an E minor to a G to an A minor to an E minor. Okay. So we're just going to start off with the first half of the progression. Really simple, right? E minor, G major, A minor, E minor. Okay. Now, if you were to just play that 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Doesn't really sound anything like that. Doesn't sound anything like it, right? But trust me, behind every single thing he does, those chords are existing. Okay. So let's start right ahead with that E minor. Okay. The song is in the key of E minor. G major, same difference, all right? What we're gonna do is we're gonna take the 12th fret and we're gonna hit the D string, G string, and B string right here. Now, all by itself, just like this is actually a chord. It's a G major chord. Like I said, we're in the key of G or E minor, however you wanna look at it. We're just gonna take this and we're gonna slide it backwards, okay? So, I think it's easiest to just use one finger, kind of like a bar chord, like an A major shaped bar chord on the 12th fret. Maybe a ring finger, however you want to do it. And we're going to slide it back into the low E string. Now it doesn't matter where you stop the slide. You just do like 2 frets, 3 frets, you go all the way down, however you want to do it, okay? We're just creating the illusion of movement from this into an open E string, establishing the E nature, the E minor nature of what we got going on here. Because remember, this is like an E minor chord. Okay? So, 2 mutes after that, into. Okay? Now, this is going to be like a pentatonic double stop Jimi Hendrix run that we have starting on here. Okay? And again, a lot of this stuff is pentatonic type playing. A double stop is when you take 2 of those notes at the same time. And then just kind of like run through it. So if we take like the A minor pentatonic, because a lot of the stuff we're going to be doing is going to be the A minor shape and the E minor shape. Same thing. E minor pentatonic, A minor pentatonic. We can use both of those shapes in the key of E minor. So we're going to start by going. Okay? Now this is just going to be over this one position. I'm going to start thinking of the 5th fret on the A string. Like this. So I'm going to go 5-7 to 5D, hammer on 5-7D, back to 5D, to the 8th fret on the low E string. Okay? So one note at a time, it would be this. Okay? Now, once we add the double stops in, it has more of like a Jimmy sound to it. Again, double stop, we're just playing two notes at the same time. I'm still thinking of, but I'm gonna hit the next string behind every single one of those notes. So instead of just hitting 5A and hammering onto 7A, I'm hitting 5A and 5D and then hammering onto 7A and 7D. And then once I get to the 5D, I'm hitting 5D and 5G together. Same thing when I hammer down on the next string. So, big difference that it makes between going one note at a time and two notes at a time. Okay, so that's one of those Jimmy-isms that we were talking about earlier. All right. Now, after we get that 8th fret, which is a C note on the low E string, we're going to slide back to the 3rd fret on the low E string, which is a G, okay? And that's where that G chord starts. Now, I think it's important to use different fingers to go from this 8th fret to the 3rd fret, okay? All right, now this is where it gets really interesting because, like I said in the chord progression, all that so far was just over E minor, because that's the key that we're in, right? Into a G major chord. Now, this right here doesn't sound anything like G major, but these are things that you can do behind a G major chord. And this is something that when I discovered how this worked, it like really took my playing to like the next level. We have a full bar, 4 counts of G major. Now we can choose to play that as simple as you want, open G chord, G bar chord, however, or we can get as flashy as we want. And since we're in the G major scale, we can incorporate any of those notes around the time that we have that we're staying on that G. G's bar, we can do whatever we want. Now, one thing that Jimmy does a lot is he'll take the major third of a chord, a major chord, and kind of play around with it with these hammer-ons. Okay? But we're going to get there in a second. I want to go to kind of like the more official-ish way to play it. Okay, so we hit that G. He does that a lot. He'll hit the root note, add a mute. That root note is establishing this is G's bar that we're just going to kind of inflect, play around with, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to jump to the top of the strings. Okay, so the 3rd fret on the B and the E string, another double stop. Okay, and then we can hammer on 3 to 5. Now where does this come from? This comes from that G major scale. So anytime you have a major chord, whatever song it is, whatever style you're playing it, you can always jump to the top of that chord, just like that. So what we're going to do, we're going to hit the root note, hit a mute, double stop hammer on into the major third, the 4th fret on the G string of that chord. It's all right here in this bar chord. And then do the Jimmy thing where he takes the major third, suspends it. This would be a suspended 4. If we just took the notes right here, don't even worry about that. If you're not into suspended chords, this is an inflection, a way that we can kind of flashy play around that G major chord, all right? So the way that it happens in this version is hammer, hammer, off, up to the 5th fret of the D string, which is also a G. Now again, these are kind of double stops again. I'm hitting the G and the B string. Alright, now, there are an infinite amount of ways that you can play it. Okay? It's really kind of like establish the chord, there's a G, maybe add a mute. A million different ways to do it. You can kind of just go through that G major scale and then start inflecting however you choose to do it. Again, just the example that we're using for this one is a root. Right? that's kind of like a definitive little wing sound. Okay, so again, to take it from the top, we've got that first E minor bar, G, whereas the next chord is going to be A minor. We have a full bar of A minor to do the exact same thing, just kind of play around with it a little bit, but instead of using a major scale shape, and again, if you want to play 3 notes of string major scale, you do the exact same thing. All the same rules will apply. But now we're on the third chord of that progression, so we're going to take this A. All right, and again, remember I said we're going to use like an A minor pentatonic thing. Even though A is not the natural minor of the key that we're in, we can still use it. If you want to use more of like a full scale, this would actually be the Dorian mode of it. Again, don't worry about it. If you really just want to keep it simple, just take that A minor pentatonic and play around with that. We're going to do the exact same thing. Okay, all that is double stopping, descending through the A minor pentatonic. All I'm doing here, if you don't know the A minor pentatonic, it's 5, 8, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 8, 5, 8. If you go to the G string, 5 to 7. So if we played it one note at a time, it'd be the G string. 5, hammer on, 7. Same thing up a string. Same thing up a string. And on the minor third of A, which is the 8th fret with your pinky. And then backwards, okay? So now we can do the same thing like we did before, double stop through it. I'm just hitting the note that we did before when you did it one note at a time, but I'm adding the string previous. So instead of just hitting the G string, I'm hitting the D in the G string. Now I'm hitting the D in the G string again, maybe, but just going up a string, gives it that full Little Wing intro kind of sound. So that's just one thing that we can do in A minor's spot. We had a bar, we had 4 counts. The way we wanted to play is again, root, establish that there's an A minor thing going on. Maybe the first kind of pentatonic thing, we're going to 5 to 7 on the A string, and then just hit like a barred 5th fret. Again, there's really no rhyme or reason to it. If you listen to some of the different Hendrix recordings, you can hear it's always something a little bit different, but it's always kind of in the same vein, where he's got these pentatonic double stop runs over a chord. I remember first kind of looking at a tab for this and just being like blown away, like how am I ever going to remember this? But then you kind of see the patterns that happen. It's like, okay, well, maybe I don't have the capability of memorizing however the official way is to play it, but knowing that this is all in this A minor pentatonic in a bar, however you want to, that's a little bit easier to remember. It's like, okay, I'm just double stopping backwards through an A minor for 4 counts, all right? Instead of like D and G, hammer on 5 to 7, A and D, hammer on 5 to 7, 5A, right? That's a lot of memorization, okay? So really kind of like thinking in chords is going to be a much better way to do it, all right? And then after this, we're doing the same thing kind of that we did in the intro, but we're just doing it one string. Backwards to open E, and then into this, which is great. I love this part, right? So we've got an open E, and if you remember the chord progression from the beginning, this is the 4th chord. If you remember what that is, remember, first chord is E minor. Second chord is G. Third chord is A. 4th chord is E minor again. Okay, so why are we going up here? Well, it's actually kind of like another thing that we can do in maybe E minor's A string rooted bar chord spot. Okay, so if you wanted to play an E string or an E minor rooted on the A string. That 7th fret on the A string is the E. You've probably played this bar chord before. All right, now if you notice, your middle finger right here is on that minor third, which is a very Hendrix thing to do, is take those thirds and inflect them. The way that we can do that is grab the 8th fret, the minor third of E, with your middle finger, the 7th fret of the G string right here, and then double step here. We're just going to hit the G and the B string together, hammer on your pinky, and then back, okay? And then after that, however you want to play from this E minor pentatonic shape, again, we can start the pentatonic scale right here on this E, 7, 10, 7, 9, 7, 9. Okay, so that's how we're going to play this one. We're going to hit the open E string. All right, and then we're going to double step through this little mini E minor pentatonic shape. All right, same way you did with the A minor. All right, so those are going to be the first 4 chords, and in the next video I'll do the next 4 chords. But again, let's just take it from the top. The E minor part, which is really kind of this G major. But before we move on, let's just kind of take those 4 chords, practice them, and then in the next video, we'll get to the next 4 bars of the song, and then you'll have kind of like a complete picture of how to do it. But it's going to be more of the same, just different chords. And again, before you go to the next video, which I'll link you to below if it's not showing up in your feed, just really try to get these 4 chords down. E minor, G, A minor, and E minor again, but think of them in a whole new way. Instead of thinking you have to play E minor chord, whatever voicing you use, think of, okay, I have 4 beats to do whatever I want in E minor or G major. And don't play it like I'm playing it, listen to whatever your favorite version is. If you like the SRV version, it's kind of like the same deal, except more of like, that Texas blues Stevie Ray Vaughan feel that he has, and he has his own kind of tricks, but they're all kind of coming from the same place, which I think is really double stopping through pentatonic runs, and I think this is like an excellent place to start checking them out.